So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what a direction that Rotary has been taking in the last little while about making sure that as clubs and as an organization that we really value and encourage diversity among our members. We think about ways of promoting equity in our clubs and in the community, and being inclusive. And so I think the statement was sent out to you, so I'm not going to read it to you, but I think the second part, that Rotary will cultivate a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture in which people from underrepresented groups have greater opportunities to participate as members and as leaders. And I want to sort of harken back to one of the things that we heard on the survey that we did, that Tyler referred to, with over 300 members who had left Rotary, left our district actually in the past 5 years. And one of the things I think that as leaders, it's important to be really sensitive to is, do our new members, when it's really easy to establish a culture, but as new members come in, I think it's really important that we pay special attention to making sure they are connected and feel that they are a part of things. And I think someone in my group mentioned about how it's important to get them engaged in a committee so that they can start feeling connected to the work, but also build close connections to other members. So that paying close attention to making sure that everyone, that we're open when we think about who we are inviting to our clubs, that we think about equity and diversity in terms of membership groups. And there are lots of clubs now looking at different forms of membership to meet people's needs, and that we are inclusive in the way we carry things out. And I found this quote from, there's a number of resources on inclusion, equity, and diversity. So diversity is a fact. Are there in our clubs people who are of different ages, different outlooks on life, all of those kinds of things. So that's one thing I think will really help us grow our membership, and it's something that's a sort of a core Rotary value, that everyone matters and everyone counts. And this quote was, diversity is a fact, but inclusion is an act. And inclusion is being sensitive and aware and watchful, I think, that the way we conduct our meetings, the culture of our clubs, is one that's invitational, and that everybody feels that they are part of the whole. Rotary International has, and some of you may have been asked to respond to a survey on this idea of inclusion, equity, and diversity, because it is an RI initiative to look at how RI can support clubs to really reach out and embrace and include people as part of Rotary who may not have had the opportunity before. And so I just want to, I missed a slide at the end, and so I'm just going to go back to that quickly before I go on to the next section. But when we were talking about, partnership is a way to increase our diversity and our impact. One of the things that in your role as a club leader that would be really helpful is to make your club members aware of the direction of Rotary in terms of having in terms of awareness of the inclusion, equity, and diversity statement, to facilitate discussions at your club about the diversity and inclusion. I know in one of my breakout groups there, the club has established already a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that's really working on that in a formal way. So in the PowerPoint that we'll send out to you, there will be further resources available. There's a link to them there. So if you want to follow up a little bit more on that, get some more ideas, there is a link there. I have an ask of you as well, as we think about diversity, membership satisfaction. Are our clubs the kind of clubs that are meeting the needs of a broad range of our members? As president-elect, and I know when I went into my year as president-elect, one of the most helpful things that I did for myself in terms of getting oriented was to conduct a membership satisfaction survey, to get feedback from the members in terms of how they were feeling about the way the club operated, what they liked, what they'd like to do more of, what they'd like to do less of. So I'm going to really encourage you to conduct that survey in the next month with your club. And when we meet again in May, we'll have an opportunity for you to talk a little bit about what feedback your club is giving you, and have some breakout conversations about what you've learned about the members in your club and how their input is helping you to set your direction for the future. So and May will be our last session. So it'll be a nice sort of wind up and kind of send off to move into your year. So I'm going to move forward now. All right. I am not going to fiddle around with this too much. If you see my notes, I think we'll just make do with that. I want to talk to you a little bit about an RI presidential initiative this year that pulls these concepts together, all of the concepts that we've been talking about increasing, reaching out to the community, increasing our networking and connections to others beyond our clubs, and partnering through service. So Shekhar Mehta has asked us to really focus on service and increasing the impact of our service, so that our service does change lives. And one of the ways that we can do that, he's asking each club to host at least one Rotary Day of Service. And I sent out to you a brochure that highlights all the requirements of a Rotary Day of Service. Now, for many of you, a Rotary Day of Service will be something similar to the work you're already doing, and that's fine. I think it's to be intentional. The Rotary Day of Service brochure has some requirements in it, and what's key in those requirements is the idea that your day of service will include partnering with other clubs, other organizations, other individuals in your community, and making them a part of your service project. So it's a way, and I think one of the powerful pieces of doing this is that it introduces non-Rotarians to the power of Rotary by actually participating in Rotary service. In Rotary, we've talked a lot about the importance of sharing our Rotary story. And this takes this idea even further to say, not only do we want to tell you about Rotary, we want you to experience Rotary and the good work that Rotary does in the community. And that's really the intent of getting volunteers beyond your club to participate in service. And I think one of the other unique pieces of this template that I really like is it really encourages people to follow up with volunteers, not only have them participate in the service, but follow up with them after. Make that personal connection with them to see how they enjoyed the project that they participated in, invite them to be part of other things, and to build that relationship with them over time, maybe before they actually consider becoming a member of your club. So more and more experience beyond attending meetings so that they can feel the true impact of Rotary. So what I would ask each of you to do is to take a good look at that brochure and the requirements. We are investigating some possibilities for district-wide events, but that's not a requirement. Each club or each group of clubs or each partnership could look at using something that they're already doing or that they would like to do as part of a Rotary Day of Service. So my ask of you is that in your club and that you identify a club champion who will take a lead on Rotary Day of Service. And it may be somebody from your community services committee or somebody who is really interested in doing this work. We are gonna ask you as well to use Rotary Showcase. Rotary Showcase is a resource that is a place where you can find ideas for projects, where you can look for partners, and you can also highlight your project. So it is easily accessible to you. And what we're going to ask you to do is, once you design your project, if at least for this one project, you would showcase your project under our district Rotary Showcase section. In terms of support for your clubs and coordinating some of the work that's going on, this will be a primary function of District Community Services, and Nevis Profer is chairing that committee, and so there'll be opportunities for people to the club champions to get together, share ideas, so that we can really use this template as a way of thinking about how do we, through service and just going up to the top here, expand the reach, engage more people in service beyond our clubs, so that we strengthen the impact of the service we're providing, and that we work with our communities to meet identified needs and engage families, community partners, and celebrate in the broader community the work that Rotary is doing. So we will be talking about this a little bit more at the assembly on Saturday, but I wanted to mention it to the presidents-elect because it's part of a breakout, and you'll be working in a different breakout during this section. So I wanted you to have this information. So I think that's all I wanted to share, unless, does anyone have any questions about Rotary Days of Service that they'd like to ask at this point?
I have one, Mayor Director.
Okay.
Donna, I have read that brochure, and one of the very first requirements that it says is that to qualify, this event must be planned by 2 or more Rotary, Rotaract, or Interact clubs in your country or internationally. So we're a small club in a small town. Our nearest Rotary club locally is an hour's drive away. So what do you do about partnering with?
Well, that's right. So that is part of why we're going to do it through community service. You could partner also with another community organization. It's really to focus on partnering. but we're also looking at, with Nevis, at some district-wide events. So you're partnering in a sense, you would be one club. There's a initiative in Calgary, for example, that we're looking at around working, supporting girls. And so I'm just working on that. It's an initiative that 5370 has been involved in. And so we'll be looking at initiatives like that, that clubs could just connect to, so it would be easy for them. Yeah, if your geography doesn't make it possible for you to do things, then connect with an organization in your community, right? The idea is reaching out beyond the individual club, and we'll have to make sense of it in terms of our geography too. So thanks for that question. Any more questions? Great. Well, Susan, I just see your picture up here in the corner, and it sounded to me when you were talking about what your club is doing, you were describing that a lot of the attributes of Rotary Days of Service. And I think lots of our clubs are engaging in service projects that reflect a lot of this. So it's just building on that and making it kind of intentional, that more and more of our service activities reflect that sort of that outreach into the community as a partner, not just as a recipient of our service. So that's really the intent. So we wanted to, we're pretty much behind schedule. So we did have a breakout session just to give people a chance to talk if they would like to stay on, and we will close at 9 o'clock. But I'm thinking now, if Deneen, if you could just before I just close this, we break people into groups and give you a chance, if there's anything you want to comment on about anything you heard tonight or anything that you'd like to chat with people about, we'll put you into groups and let you have an opportunity for some informal conversation until about 9 o'clock, and then we'll close down the session. All right, well, I'd just like to thank everybody. We had a really nice discussion in my breakout group, and the feedback that I think we've been hearing is more breakout time. And so we'll certainly do that for our next session, and maybe we'll to think about too in the upcoming year how we can create some informal networks for you when you're in your president year. And you don't have to attend sessions, but maybe there'd be something that you could get together and talk about. I know, Scott, you do it with your area group, and I'm not sure everybody does. So I think it would be a nice way to facilitate some partnerships too.